Back in my day, when we had to walk uphill both ways, there was one bit of shorthand for being an expensive Magic card. That shorthand was Tarmogoyf. Originally printed in Future Sight, one of my favourite sets of all time, with this wonderful frame that was meant to evoke what Magic might look like in the future, Tarmogoyf became an almost instant success in older formats. It saw not a huge amount of play in Standard, but it became a powerful card in Extended, and later on when the formats became realised, or in the case of Modern, invented, both Modern and Legacy saw Tarmogoyf being a strong player for a very long time. For those of you watching this video who are newer, Tarmogoyf at one point was a nearly $100 card when non-foil. Actually, my memory serves me incorrectly. The Goldfish draft that I'll show here shows non-foil Future Sight Goyfs reaching as high as $189 each. My goodness, time has begun to erode my memory of the Goyf. The reason I said 100 is that I remember the doubled price being the one that was floated around when Modern Masters 2 dropped. Tarmogoyf got regular reprints in Modern Masters 1, in Modern Masters 2, in Modern Masters 3, and later down the line we also got like store promos, Ultimate Masters box toppers, Time Spiral Remastered, and finally Fallout. I mentioned the $200 foil price because Pascal Maynard opened one on camera at Grand Prix Vegas one year, and there's a whole controversy because he took it because it was worth more. A foil stamped, because they put stamps on the limited product you open at Grand Prix to avoid you inserting your own cards and cheating. But a stamped foil Tarmogoyf, absolutely incredible artifact and memoir for the weekend, and a card that will sell for quite a bit. Pros were upset because, well, Burst Lightning was in the pack and was better for his deck. Anyway, the video's not about that. That's why I always remember that $200 price tag for the foil. Turns out some of the unfoils were approaching that prior to reprints anyway. Today's video is not about Goyf specifically though. It's about the fact that there's a load of uncommons that are more expensive than Tarmogoyf now. A symbol, a sign of how the mighty has fallen in terms of its price, but also an interesting little tidbit about the price of certain uncommons. Uncommons you might have in a box in your cupboard. I scanned my collection over the last couple of days, and it did take me almost 3 days to do, and it's just interesting finding cards and realising how expensive certain things have gotten, or in the case of some cards, how inexpensive they've become. I might do a whole video about the heritage of the Goyf separately. If you want to see that video, let me know in the comment section below. Let's talk about Tarmogoyf's current price. A Future Sight Goyf is $32. Very few uncommons actually beat this. There are actually maybe a dozen or so, but I'm going to come to that and more in a moment. The actual average price, shall we say, is around the $12 price tag for the normal bordered Time Spiral Remastered Goyf. There are cheaper ones out there if you are okay with one of these Fallout Goyfs that, I'll be honest, unless you're a big Fallout fan, are kind of ugly. I'd say they're ugly simply because they just don't look like Tarmogoyf. Tarmogoyf is so iconically part of Magic, seeing it reskinned into another frame is kind of egregious. And this is someone who kind of is okay with a Pip-Boy frame, likes the Pip-Boy frame to an extent, loves Fallout as well. I just think that taking something so iconic and making it basically unrecognizable is fucking wild. Anyway, this card is now $8. Taking the $8 price tag opens up a huge amount of uncommons to talk about in this video, but I want to go for that $11 sort of range. Let's talk a little bit about pricey uncommons. And if you want to buy any of the uncommons, the rares, or anything mentioned in this video, or just anything in general that is Magic related, you can buy it from CoolStuffInc.com. Code Kenobi at checkout, get 5% off your order, and it helps to support the show, and you will get one of my promo tokens sent out to you too. The current one is this beautiful Orc Army of Darkness, which is me fighting back the Orc Army of Darkness with a fist made of milk. Code Kenobi, 5% off your order, help support the channel. And if you like the videos that I make, join my Patreon, $2 a month, and I'll call you a cunt on my Discord. That's where you get access to the Discord where I hang out and chat shit all the time. Come get involved. A little bit of nostalgia before we get really into the list at hand. This is Inquisition of Kozilek, and it's worth fucking nothing now. At one point, Inquisition of Kozilek was an $11 uncommon back in the day. Now, it's had a hell of a lot of reprints, but also fell slightly out of favour in Modern specifically, which is interesting because Inquisition of Kozilek is one of the cards that makes Goyf good. Goyf's at his best when he's alongside Hand Attack, growing the graveyard, because what doesn't kill the Goyf makes it stronger. I just thought it was interesting that at one point, Inquisition of Kozilek would have made this list, and now it's sub 40 cents. It's probably where it should be for an uncommon, hand attack spell. There's a whole conversation to be had about that. There's a whole history of the hand attack spell that, again, is something I probably want to do a video on. I hate putting out the ideas of videos I'm going to make and then never making them, but just throwing out some ideas. Tell me in the comments if you like that idea. First up on the list, as we go from highest to lowest in terms of price tag, is the cheat slot. What I mean by the cheat slot is cards that were printed at uncommon once upon a time and were openable at uncommon rates. And for that, what I mean is, depending on the booster, it's 3 to 4 uncommons, 1 rare, and a load of commons, normally 10 or 11. Now, uncommons are printed less regularly than commons and thus demand a little bit more of a primo price tag or are harder to get hold of. So things like Ancient Tomb and Force of Will were absolutely in the uncommon slot many moons ago. I believe there's some fuckery around some uncommons being rarer than other uncommons in some sets, but I'm not going to get into that here. The reason I'm calling this the cheat slot is that these cards, although printed at uncommon rarity in their original packs, if you were, cracking packs of alliances now, you could hopefully get a Force of Will and a rare. Wow. But my point is, since then being reprinted, these cards have been printed at rare or mythic, and there are power levels that would never be uncommon now. For example, Force of Will has been reprinted multiple times in recent time, all at mythic rarity. If I'm honest, it's probably more of a rare, but it's reprint equity for Wizards of the Coast, right? And as an example of this, Force of Negation, the closest to it in terms of a modern card design in Modern Horizons, was at rare. Although Force of Negation is pretty much strictly worse. There are some weird upsides with the exiling and stuff. Either way, it's rare. So OG Ancient Tomb is $90 right now, and thus is more expensive than any Tarmogoyf right now, other than perhaps foil Japanese ones that have been stamped at GP or some such nonsense. But the point is, these are cheating. They are not truly uncommons. They are rares by any other name, or mythics in the case of some of these things. There is like maybe 24 cards that fit into this category of things that were uncommon once that would never be reprinted at uncommon again. So let's get onto the uncommons proper. The cards that were uncommon in recent booster sets or would be uncommon again and still be more expensive than good old Tarmogoyf. First up, let's talk about a card that is currently slightly cheaper than Goyf, but is going to eclipse it soon enough. There's an interesting thing about these videos that when I do videos about prices or mention prices in videos, it ages the video, makes them less evergreen. Although a lot of the talk in this video, a lot of the knowledge coming out of my brain hole like a arse farting out vapor will be relevant later down the line. Anyway, Nazgl. The Nazgl are creeping up and up and up. It's kind of fucking wild how expensive these are getting. The cheapest of the arts right now is around $9, $8.92. They vary depending on art and they vary depending on how many of them are around, depending on like looking at TCG Player and similar, but they're around $9 each. And they're going to creep up and get beyond that soon enough. Interestingly, this one goes the flip reverse when you look at Europe, because actually they are more expensive in European prices. I've got an example on the list later on where like in Europe, the card is a couple of euros, but it's like over $10 in America. Here, these things are like €9 each on card market as an average price. Europeans fucking love Tolkien and fucking love a Nazgl deck. Part of the reason they're so expensive is not only that you need to collect all of them to have the complete set of arts if you're a collector, but you might be collecting them to play with as well, and you can have up to 9 Nazgl in your deck. This is similar to things like the new Rabbit card from Foundations, or Persistent Petitioners, Relentless Rats, Rat Colony. These cards that allow multiple types of themselves are always slightly more expensive than other commons and uncommons in the set, because the sheer demand for them from the players that want them is a lot higher. Nazgl is truly unique in only having 9 available slots in a deck, as opposed to infinite and end up being 20 to 30 copies like Dragon's Approach or similar, but still demands a price tag way higher on all of those. A being uncommon, and B being this interesting collector's item. On the topic of Universes Beyond, how about some Nuka-Cola vending machines? This card is an uncommon from the Commander products, and it comes in at $14 for the cheapest one. If you want to go foil, if you want to go Pip-Boy, you're going up to $20 or $80 depending on if you're going full whack. The card is my favourite card from Fallout by an absolute country mile for a few reasons. One, it is just such a durdle duck, like fucking Rube Goldberg machine of value, making treasures and food and such. It is a flavor slam dunk that you're getting Nuka-Cola for that reason. And then on top of all of that, it is an iconic part of Fallout. Nuka-Cola is one of the, alongside Fallout Boy himself, the Vault Boy, the Pit Boy, it is one of the defining things about, or one of the defining images of Fallout. Weirdly, I don't think the actual normal art is as iconic as it perhaps could be. And I do find it interesting that we had the One Ring for Lord of the Rings, we had a Nuka-Cola vending machine for Fallout. It is funny seeing like titular, iconic artifacts being like the premium front runners for expensive cards in the set. This is a weird one being uncommon as well, because uncommon used to mean when in a Commander precon product that it was featured in at least 2 of the precons. Common was all of them, rare was 1 of them, and uncommon was like 2 to 3 of them. Nuka-Cola vending machine is only found in 1 of the 4 Fallout precons, so they've broken that rule. However, it being uncommon does mean that it has more chances to show up in a collector booster, I think. Although trying to understand what shows up in a collector booster for each set individually is like trying to divine the future through inspecting the lower part of my ball sack. It's pointless, it's painful, and and it smells of sweat. Something I want to notice about Nuka-Cola Vending Machine and Nazgl right here is that both of them have names that are absolutely tied to their IP and thus make them hard to reprint without reskinning them. Now we know Wizards of the Coast can reskin Universes Beyond stuff, but if I'm honest, it's not easy. You gotta find spaces for it. You gotta find not only the thematic fit for what the card does, in the case of Nazgl, 9 wraiths for a place. You get my drift. What set is 9 wraiths with different art or similar art or whatever? I can do 9 of them. I can do them with all the same art. Either way, the point is they're harder to reprint than a lot of the normal Magic stuff. So these are ones that I think will be more expensive than Goyf for quite some time ongoing. Next up, Constant Mists, a card that has seen 0 reprints outside of Gold Border since its original printing in Stronghold, comes in at just shy of $16. It's a fog that you can buy back by sacking a land. It's very good in Commander. There you go, I said it. I said the fucking term. I said that it's good in Commander. To be honest, most of the cards on this list are Commander cards. The last 2 were as well. And Constant Miss is one of the cards now on the list, which is different to both Nazgl and Nuka-Cola Vending Machine for the fact that it is easy to reprint, arguably, and would crash its value if we saw a reprint tomorrow. It is good enough in green and lands matters decks that I think that it would go back up after its reprint, but its $16 price tag is simply because this card has seen 0 reprints outside of Gold Border. Next up we have Pyrohemia. This card is $13 or $14 depending on where you're shopping for the Commander 2011 or Commander Anthology versions. It is arguably cheaper in the original printing, which is weird because I think this frame is a lot cooler, and it's almost shy downwards of $9 on the list. But to be honest, the list is a weird one because a lot of places don't have list cards in stock, and thus I think people drop their prices to try and buy them in at cheaper prices, and it kind of perverts where we're at in terms of what the list cards actually cost. This is the weirdest one on the list for UK prices and European prices. The average price for this thing is sub €6 in England, so the fact that it's like upwards of $14 for like the Commander 2011 one is very strange to me. And yes, I know technically the $9 one isn't cheaper than that particular Goyf that I focused on and stuff, but it's more expensive than the Fallout Goyf, so it kind of fits the scheme. Shut up. It's still interesting that it's so fucking expensive, right? Bontu's Monument, oh boy. This is an interesting one. The white, the green, and the black one all have a price tag of upwards of a few dollars because they're all pretty good in Commander. Bontu's Monument, on the other hand, is the best one. The cost reduction for spells and the ability to drain your opponent when you're casting creatures are both pretty solid abilities to have on one singular piece of utility artifact in your deck. Card's pretty good. Around $7 Amonkhet printing, but over $11 in the Dominaria United Commander printing, which is a strange one. Again, probably because the card is out of stock on certain websites that are pumping the price up. Either way, an expensive uncommon that if you've got them knocking around in your collection, you should probably dig them out and trade them to people who want them. Now we got less of a sometimes it's cheaper one. This one is just an expensive uncommon because it's got a bit of price memory. It was a competitive staple. Hell, fuck, I think it's banned in Modern. Krark Clan Ironworks. Most people without looking would guess or remember this to be rare because it's been so powerful and present in formats like Modern to the point that it got fucking banned. At 4 mana you can sack artifacts to make 2 mana into your mana pool, which is just an incredible sack outlet, similar to your Altars of the Brood, no, not Altars of the Brood, sorry, Phyrexian Altar and Ashnod's Altar and similar. Altars of the Brood's a great card, but not similar to this. The cheapest version of this is in Gold Border at $13, and beyond that you're looking at $18 or more. That's right, I fucked up the ordering of the list, but it's too late to go back now. We don't have the technology. Recently printed in Mystery Booster 2, which is doing a lot of fucking fucky-wucky with all the numbers of costs and stats because loads of people opened Mystery Booster 2 and it landed on our doorsteps only a few weeks ago in Europe. Even in spite of that, the card demands a price tag because it's got a bit of price memory. It's a very good Commander card. If you got some 5th edition foils knocking around, yeah, you should sell them. I found my 5th edition foil while sorting my collection. I might sell it. Next up, we got one that is technically cheaper if you take the Mystery Booster 2 price, but like I said, I don't think those prices will stay as low as they currently are forever, and will just climb from here, especially the Future Sight border and the White border cards. But at the moment, the Commander printing of this is $13, and the Onslaught printing isn't far behind. This is not only a Commander card, but like Krark Clan Ironworks, sees play elsewhere, mainly Legacy. Well, I say mainly, it's not legal in Modern, but the point is it's a 1 mana return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. It is an unsummon that can hit Staxy rock pieces, and thus CDH, Legacy, and Commander all find this to be a very versatile bounce spell, one of the best ever printed, and would still be uncommon if printed today, as seen in Mystery Booster 2. Next up we have a newbie, a new card that is probably overhyped a little bit as new cards can be. General Create, the Bolt Bringer is a 3-mana 2/2 that whenever a goblin you control attacks, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking, and it's 1 or more, so you only get 1 goblin per attack step. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield, General Create pings each opponent for 1 damage. It is impact from is attached to a 2/2 Krenko style effect, but you're losing the growing effect. Not Krenko, sorry. Rabble Master. I'm thinking Rabble Master. 2 of the Krenkos are like Rabble Masters. Anyway, I'm getting really boomer now. What are you under? If you're watching this and you're under the age of 24, do you even know what Goblin Rabble Master is? My fucking god, that card dominated Standard. I'm assuming that the kids don't even know what it is. No respect for my boy's name. This card is great. I was thinking of building it in Commander myself, but I think it's going to go in my the Red White Assassin guy that pings off historic stuff. Anyway, less about that. The card is new, it is hyped, it's an uncommon, and it's more expensive than both the rare and the mythic rare that come in the Goblin pack this comes in. If you open a Goblin's pack and get those 3 cards, you open one of the more valuable packs in Foundations. About one of, I mean, top 3. Next up, we have an absolute beast of a card in Triumph of the Hordes. 4 mana, until end of turn, you control get +1/+1, trample, and Infect. This is the Infect Overrun. It's only seen 3 printings, a new Phyrexia, the list, and a secret lair of all places. Yeah, that's right, it's Battle Royale. The expensive copy of this is a Fortnite one, which I think is very funny. This card would absolutely destroy people if you have like a moderately large board, and thus it is a game-ending wombo combo of just having a wide board. Card's very good. I think its price would go down significantly if we saw an uncommon printing in some sort of draftable set sometime soon. What you got to remember is when it's in the list or a secret lair or even Mystery Booster 2 or similar, that's not going to crash the price fully because it's not being opened en masse like it would be in a Thunder Junction or Karlov Manor. It's funny I mentioned them. Karlov Manor was a set that a lot of people said they didn't open much of because it kind of sucked, but even then, it being a draftable set and a mainline tentpole set means that the price would go down lower. Triumph for the Hordes, as soon as they find somewhere to put an Infect Overrun card into a... That's another point, I guess, actually. I'm saying put these cards in draftable sets and whoosh, the price goes down, but what draftable set are they going to put a fucking uncommon that says your creatures get Infect on it in? Not that Infect is like the boogeyman they can't use again, but Infect is a mechanic that they don't really want to put as a mainline set mechanic, and thus this will probably show up in a special guest slot, and thus it will get reprinted not at a true uncommon rarity. Oh, printings and reprints and MTG finance is super interesting, isn't it? Undead Warchief, a card that is less hard to find a space for, but they've hardly found a space for it. Originally from Scourge, this card's cheapest printing is around $11. It was time shifted in original Time Spiral, which was about 1 million years ago. It was in Plane Chase even, and there was a copy in the list. But all of those things did not bring this card's price below this. The moment we see an Undead Warchief in a Zombie Matters set further down the line, it's going to plummet in price. But at the moment, it's $12. Dig them out of your collections, kids. Sell them off. Next up, we have a Commander staple. Its lowest price tag is $13 for the Ice Age Original. Its Secret Lair Mystery Booster copies being more expensive. This is Demonic Consultation. It is baby's first CDH combo. I say that to be patronizing. It's obviously a key combo. This plus that Historical is a win. I get it. And it's a cheap win too. By cheap, I mean cheap in mana cost, but I guess also cheap as in it's not that hard to pull off. I said baby's first because it's the one that I go to. That's the de facto like combo, isn't it? That and add Nors to find your copies. Either way, Demonic Consultation is an expensive uncommon, but I think I would have guessed this card wouldn't have been reprinted at uncommon today. I would have assumed this card would have been reprinted at a higher rarity, like rare, for example, but in Mystery Booster 2, it is uncommon. So, yeah, card's not a rare. Grinding Station, Mystery Booster 2 copies around $8, but it's $13 for 5th Dawn version. This is a combo wombo commander card, and if you've got foils, they're like $100. If you've got 5th Dawn, it's pretty fucking crazy. Either way, this is a very expensive uncommon that, you know, Commander decks want. And lastly, still on that Commander train, we got Mind Crank. I recently bought a copy of this for €9. The cheapest version of this is around $10, $12 for the Commander Legends Battle of Baldur's Gate version. This card is sick because it makes mill viable in Commander, kinda. Mill in Commander is very, very bad for the most part. Not only is it difficult to mill out 3 decks at 100 cards outside of infinite combos by just doing your raw dog casting of mill spells, but often milling your opponent will just enable their game plan anyway. The thing I like about Mind Crank is you get to beat the shit out of people with massive creatures. I don't know, a fucking, what's the thing? Lord of Extinction? Yeah, no one's playing this card anymore, but imagine Lord of Extinction people with Mind Crank. Oh, that's the good stuff. It is an uncommon that many people do remember it being rare, because it feels like a rare effect, but it's not. It is uncommon, and I play it in Captain Nugaval. And that's it. That's my list of 13 or 14, I've lost track, uncommons that are more expensive, kinda, than Tarmogoyf. Hope you found that video interesting. I hope you found this informative. Maybe it makes you dig through your collection and dig some stuff out to trade into some vendors at your local store or next event, or just trade some people at the store. Either way, hope you enjoyed it. Check out coolstuffinc.com via the link in the description below to buy your cards, and also check out my Patreon. Helps to support me making videos like this. Sorry, I turned away because my dog walked in. That's the end of the video. You can go now. Go on, fuck off.